Hey guys. Hello, everybody. And from undercharging to unstoppable, welcome to all of our new people who have come in. I hope you guys are able to join this bonus training. I always like to over deliver. So if you don't remember why you're in this group, you are getting this training because you signed up from Undercharging to Unstoppable, the 4-part course on creating your high-end package and selling it. So I'm going to do a bonus training today about what are actually the things you need to be doing in your calendar and in your schedule to get you to fill up your one-on-one program, to get you to make consistent sales, or to get you to continuously be booking clients, right? And I think that's really important for all of us, okay? So what I've broken this down into 3 steps, really. These were kind of 3 things that I kind of had to go through. And I've come up with basically six steps you need to be doing within step number 2. So 3 steps with a checklist. That's 6 things you need to be doing consistently. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk with you guys about what you need to be doing to create consistent income, book out your one-on-one, and continue to get clients. If you do these 6 things daily, which I'm going to be getting into, this is what will lead you to consistent income and sales. Okay. So first thing is first, I'm talking about this because Ariel had brought this up and then another student had brought it up. I'm sorry, I forgot who else said this would be a really good topic. But a lot of times you might feel like, and this was kind of just what I heard from a lot of people too, is that they feel like they're doing a lot of things, but not actually creating momentum in their business. So they end the day and they're exhausted and they're drained, but they didn't really do anything, right? Like, they didn't really do anything that day. So I can be there. I can totally understand that. I've been there, right? So first thing I want to tell you is just awareness. A lot of people, when they come to this point, are spinning in circles but not creating momentum. So here's what I want to tell you. Step number 1, I want you to actually get real with yourself for a second, okay? I can remember feeling like, oh, I'm so busy, but I wasn't actually doing anything. Okay. So this step number 1 is just let's get real. If you don't have that many clients right now, if you don't have any clients right now, if you're not creating content, okay, if you're not working another job or doing something else, right, you're probably engaging a lot of activities that drain you. And that's why you're getting drained. You're not getting drained because you're doing so much, you're so busy. You're actually getting drained because you're doing lots of social media scrolling. You're probably doing lots of consuming, right? Or maybe you're starting one thing, you have 500 tabs open, you're watching the replay of this video, you got 600 tabs open, right? So, and you're not finishing a lot of these things. You might be starting one thing and not finishing it. So really what's happening is that you are just draining your energy by consuming things. So step number 1 to creating a calendar that actually gets you to continuously book clients, fill your one-on-one program, continuously get sales, is to actually look at how you are spending a majority of your time, okay? And when I did this assessment, I kind of do this assessment every year, really. Like, I'll look back and be like, oh, Shannon, like, wait, for a little while there, you slipped a lot into consuming. It still happens now all the time. I'm not perfect, no. It still happens all the time. But what I realize is that I check my energy and say, what is going on? Why do I feel so drained? And typically it's because I was doing a lot of consuming. I was consuming a lot of stuff. I was doing a lot of social media scrolling, and I wasn't creating anything. And if you think that you are not a creator, okay, if you have come to this and you just consider yourself an entrepreneur, but you don't think of yourself as a creator, I'm here to bust that bubble for you and say that yes, you are a creator, okay? So if you're an entrepreneur, you are born to be a creator, okay? So when you're spending a lot of your time consuming instead of creating, that is when you're going to find yourself drained. So I would take a real hard look. How did you spend the last 4 days, right? What were you doing for the last 4 days? And really look at hour by hour, what did you do? And you'll find there's probably a lot of consuming in that. Okay, so step number 1, become aware of how you're actually spending your time. Step number 2 is when I'm going to get into the 6 steps. Okay, so step number 2, I'm going to give you 6 things you need to be doing daily, and I'm going to paste them in the comments when I'm done. Now, these things get the most out of your business, make the most money, and don't burn you out. Okay, step number 1, content creating. You should always be creating content more than consuming. And step number one, like bonus tip, don't create half-ass content. And what is counted as creating content is anything where you are creating videos, writing, just anything where you're actually creating, right? So live video counts, other videos for YouTube count, creating images for Instagram, creating posts for Facebook, doing a challenge, anything where you are actually just creating something that's never been created. That counts as content creation, okay? Step number one, you should always be creating more content than you are consuming. Step number two, self-care. So you should always, always, always be putting yourself first, okay, before your business. So these are things you should be doing daily, okay? So these are things you should be doing every single day. And these are the things that will get you to fill up your one-on-one program and make sales consistently. And that consists of taking care of yourself. Hey, Jess. So taking care of yourself. And that doesn't look like, okay, I have another step for that. Self-care doesn't look like journaling or meditating or doing work for your business. No, self-care is completely different. Self-care is where you tune in to yourself, and not just tune into yourself so you can think of a great idea for a post, or not just tune into yourself so you can think of a great idea for this thing or for your business, okay? Self-care is just you. It's just you. So self-care can look like taking a bath in the middle of the day, going for a walk, cooking a nice meal for yourself, right? Something like that. Exercising, right? Just something that is for you. And it doesn't have any other purpose but to nourish you, like to literally give you energy, to make you feel good. Its only purpose is to just give you back your energy, make you feel good. Yeah, things I just said. All right. So that's number two, self-care. Number three, journal or meditating. That's different than self-care, okay? Journaling or meditating, this is really just about you getting thoughts, getting your thoughts out on a piece of paper, or while you're meditating, really trying to, let go of thoughts. It's really about just becoming clear-headed so you can make better decisions in your business. So you can come up with better ideas in your business. So when you, go to create things, you can be more clear-headed. You can have more clarity. So journal or meditating. Again, these are all daily things, okay? Number four, taking care of current clients. Your current clients can become your best referral system. Almost all of my clients are from referrals. So referrals are really, really important to me. And that means over delivering and really taking care of my current clients. So that means always, like, you don't have to check in with them, but I just always love over delivering to people. I always love just like going the extra mile for my clients, just doing something nice, showing that like I care for them, I'm thinking about them. I'm always thinking about my clients. They rent a space in my head, Even you guys here in Undercharging to Unstoppable, I'm like, what do they need to hear today? What do they need to know today? So taking care of you, right? So step number four, taking care of current clients, because this will lead you to more sales and more referrals, right? Okay. Step number five is something that I don't see, and I didn't actually start implementing this until this year. And step number five is for people who love big picture thinking, right? Maybe you love the idea of thinking about, a program you could launch in a month, or things you could put into place, maybe a strategy you could put into place, or maybe it's just even just looking at numbers and data in your business, right? So step number five is called CEO. And I actually have just one designated day in my calendar. So this one doesn't have to be daily, but I have one designated day a week in my calendar where I do CEO planning. So CEO planning is done for me every Monday. And on Mondays, I don't take client calls. It's blocked off. Mondays and Fridays are blocked off for client calls. Monday specifically is for me to sit down and look at my business as a CEO. So right now I currently have Facebook ads running, right? So a role of being a CEO is to then go into those Facebook ads on Mondays and look at all the data. Now I could do that daily, totally something I could do daily. But for me right now, it's just every single week, Go into there, look at the data on the Facebook ads, what's working, what's not. Now you can also do that with, say, if you have a funnel running or an opt-in running, look at your opt-ins, take your CEO time and look at your opt-ins, like which ones convert really well? Where do people fall off in a funnel with you? What posts converted really well for you, and how can you really get the most out of those posts? What kind of things would you love to launch in 2 months from now? So really taking the time to have that CEO time where so for me, every Monday, CEO time, I look at numbers in my business. I look at statistics. I look at what's working, what's not working, right? You really, really, really need that time. Most important thing. Okay, that's number 5. Number six is just sharing and connecting. So this can be done daily. You can pick a day when you just, connect with a whole bunch of people, but really this is so, so important, guys. Sales is relationship building. So sharing and connecting is relationship building, and that looks like commenting or messaging people. I'm going to paste that in here too so you guys can see all 6 steps. So that can look like reaching out to someone who has been interested in working with you, but still isn't working with you. And it could just be you reaching out to them and saying like, hey, when are we going to work together? Or, hey, I'm just following up to see how everything's going. So that could be things like following up with sales calls. That could be things like just reaching out to people who are in your Facebook group or comment a lot on your posts and saying, thank you so much for, always being active and engaging. Like, what's your favorite part? It's just starting a conversation. None of these actually have to mean these have to translate into sales. It can be as simple as like connecting with someone else who's hosting a summit. Or it could be as simple as just doing something together with somebody else that you think would be super fun. But always just connecting, building, messaging, just in some way relationship building. I think that makes enough sense. So these are the 6 steps. Now I say they're daily, but of course, like I said, the CEO thing I do weekly. And you can plan these out. So they're done except for the self-care, the journal and the meditating and content creation, I think should be done daily. Should be done daily. Unless you want to create all of your content in one day, but it's still self-care, journal or meditating, and taking care of your current clients. Okay. Those are ones that have to be done daily. Okay. The other stuff you can plan out like a day, like Tuesday is content creation day or Monday CEO day, right? So you can plan all of those out. But by far, if you continue to do all of these 6 things, right, daily, you will then get consistent sales. You will fill up your one-on-one program, things like that. So because what it's saying is if you're creating content, right, all the time, and you're actually getting that content out there, you're getting new people to you, right? And then if you're doing things like sharing and connecting, then you're building new relationships with people who will probably eventually come into your programs, right? And then also on top of it, taking care of your current clients. They'll give you referrals, okay? So all of this stuff, and the most important stuff is always taking care of yourself, because you can't be the best coach or service provider if your cup is not full. If you didn't eat breakfast today, if you didn't eat lunch today, and you've just been consuming and consuming and consuming, you cannot be the best coach. And you need to be the best coach for those people so they can refer you to more people, right? So they can rave about you on their social media and get more people to work with you. Or if you're service-based provider, you want your clients to rave about you. Most important thing. And you always want to be creating more content in order to draw new people into your circle. Okay? All right. How does that sound so far? We have one more step left. I'm going to take a sip of my water. Does anybody have any questions about this? Even if you're watching the replay, let me know if you have any questions about this. And then I'm going to get into step number 3, but step number 3 is pretty short. Who has questions about this? Okay, so I'll get into step number 3. So step number 3, I feel like I've already said a lot of step number 3 already, but I'll say it again. It's basically put yourself first, okay, in your calendar, in your schedule. If at any point in your life, no matter how busy you have got, if you are starting to feel burnt out and drained, and you are the person who does everything in your business. Okay. So if you are the person who, if you're the person who does everything, right? Like if you do the marketing, the selling, obviously all of this stuff, right? I have an assistant who does other stuff behind the scenes, but I am the face of my business. Okay. So if at any point I am drained, or I'm not eating enough, or I'm eating too much, or if I am not taking care of myself, then my business is going to suffer because I am my business, right? So that's why yourself always, always has to come first. Okay. So you can't be the best coach to your clients if you're exhausted. You can't deliver an amazing live stream if you're so exhausted and drained from watching like 5 live streams earlier, right? Like you can't do that stuff. So the most important thing in your calendar is whenever you find yourself being burnt out or drained, you have to, and I know this is so backwards because I think what we're taught is so much around hustling, right? There's a lot of like hustling and hustling and hustling for your business, and like that's not the way it's actually supposed to work. There is certain times when you can hustle and it can feel okay. I'm kind of in a little bit of a hustle right now with my business, but it's not draining me or burning me out. Like I still take time for Shannon every single day. I go for a walk in the park every single morning. In the morning, I wake up, I put on my sneakers, and I listen to like this app that I love called Aptive, and they have walking meditations. And I go for a walk in the park for 20 minutes before I do anything for my business. I do check my phone still. That's a habit I'm trying to break. I do check my phone still. But after I check my phone, I get up and I go for a walk in the park for 20 minutes before I even touch my computer. Okay. But I do touch my phone. I'm going to say that. I'm going to be real with you guys. I do. But then after that, I come home, I shower, I cook myself breakfast. Then I sit down to start like checking my emails while I'm eating my breakfast. But I am always taking care of myself because I know my clients deserve the best coach. I know that people who follow me, you guys deserve my best energy. You guys deserve me on my like, right? And I can't do that if I am trying to give more life to my business than I am to myself. I have to come first, and then the business can grow once I come first. That was the biggest learning lesson for me this year. All right. So Jess says, what if you don't have a list? So Jess, that's fine if you don't have a list. That's totally fine. If you're wondering about content creation, yeah, that's perfect. I know. I think that's great. I think that's honestly great. I think that if this is Jess's plan, like Jess like loves being in her Facebook group, right? And she loves being on Instagram or she loves being on Facebook. That's what you then go for it. Like that's where you're going to create your most content. Okay. And I think I want to speak on this too, because I have so many people who are always telling me like, Shannon, I don't have like a marketing strategy though, or I don't have this in place. And I'm like, no, you do. Like, no, wait, you do. And if I go through and if I'm working with a client, right, privately, what I do is I like go through the steps of how they just got their last like 3 clients, right? And like I said, most of my clients are referrals. So for the longest time, I thought, oh, I don't have a strategy. But then I broke down how almost all of my clients came to me and realized, yeah, that's a strategy. So for example, right? Most of my clients are referrals. But what will happen is that this either they get referred by someone that worked with me or they're referred by someone that follows me, right? So when I work with someone, I'm working with right now who's going to help me with an email campaign. I don't even think you need an email campaign. I'm going to say that straight out, Jess. If most of your clients are coming to you through your Facebook group, start crushing it, guys, where you like to crush it. I feel like that's such a cheesy thing to say, but I truly mean it. Like, I love certain, right? Like, so let me go back to that thing. So what I found was that most of my clients came from referrals, right? Most of them came from referrals. So I was like, oh, I can't track them, or I don't have a strategy, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, right? But I actually do. Okay. So when I broke it down and looked at it, and I do this for my clients too, it's like, okay, so someone will come to you through your content that you've created, that you've put out either on Facebook. Most of my clients either come to me because I have my assistant post in Facebook groups, and then they come to my personal profile. Then they might watch a video by me or they opt into my email list. Okay. Now, I love emailing, right? Like email, if you guys are on my email list, you know, I love emailing. I send a decent amount of emails a week, but I also love live video. And those are my ways that I get clients. So the person will come to me, and then eventually, after seeing a couple more live videos from me, right? Or seeing a couple more emails from me, that person will then become my client. That person will work with me and they will tell their friend, hey, watch this girl. And the other friend will go through the same thing. She'll watch a live video. She'll come on my email list. She'll watch a couple more live videos. She'll become a client. So I found that the way that my clients come to me, it's not like a Facebook ad to a funnel, right? Which I'm going to start testing soon now, but I can say this now. I can start doing that stuff now, like Facebook ad funnels and things like that, because I have a solid way. Like I'm like, okay, these videos are the ones that convert people to clients. These are the posts that convert people to clients. I know this stuff now. Also, because I took CEO time on Monday to look at that number, to look at the stuff that's happening. And I'm doing that stuff eventually. But for right now, what works for me really well, getting people onto my email list or getting them to watch me on video. And if I can get you to do that, and if I can speak to you in the way that you need to be spoken to get into my 10K program and speak about all of your problems, and I know your problems and how they need to be fixed, that's how people become clients. But what I don't try to do is I don't try to make myself feel bad for not having all those other things, like not having this or not having that or not having, I just know what I'm good at and I'm going to stay in my lane. And once I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I really feel like I kind of mastered this piece, really mastered, Facebook groups, or I've really mastered, using my personal profile. That's when I can start to expand into other avenues and places. But until I master them, I can't really it won't work. Like it just won't work anywhere. I'll just be scattered all over the place trying this thing, then this thing, then this thing, then this thing. Just stay with one, master it, find the way that people work the best. Like people come to you, they do this step, and they do this step, and they do this step. That's when they become a client. Then they do this step, and they do this step, and they do this. Oh, that's when they become a client. That's when you can start using all of that data that you've collected to then turn into things like funnels, evergreen sales, evergreen course sales. But until you have that down, it's really hard to just create a funnel from scratch and try to make it work. It really is. So, Jess, does that help? Because it sounds to me like even if you say I don't have a list, to me, it's like you have a Facebook group. So that's the same thing to me. I'm like, yeah, you have a list then. They're just in a group. It's just different. Facebook groups can be used just like funnels can be used too. It's the same thing. The same thing. Do you guys have any other questions? Those are my top tips. What other questions do you guys have for me? Be happy to answer them. Move this over here. No other questions? No other questions for today? All right, guys. If you have any questions, you're watching the replay, feel free to send me a message. And I'd love to help you and answer that. But this is all you got to do. Those tips, I should really pin this. All these steps I have. Any tips on getting more engagement and clients from group? Yeah, I got lots of tips. One would be, do you really know? First thing I would really want to know is do you know the ideal client for that program or that package you're trying to sell inside and out? Do you really know her? Really, really, really know her? That would be the first thing. If you don't know her, it's going to be very hard to market to her, or it's going to be very hard to give her like the content that she wants to see and read. Does that make any sense, Jess? Do you really, really know that client? I don't know where my, oh, okay. Okay. That's my question. First question. So that's always the first thing. If you're not getting a lot of engagement from people in your Facebook group, it's typically because you don't know, sorry guys, you don't know that client inside and out. So you're not actually writing content. And that was my next step. You're probably not being specific enough. Super specific. So specific is also key into getting more engagement from those people, right? So like instead of saying something like instead of me saying something like I had my biggest month ever or something, what I do is I share the specific number, right? Like I might share one of my best converting and engaging posts is called I made my monthly income in one day. So I made $8,000 in one day. And I know that something like that would attract the girls that I'm looking to work with because they are looking to get to more than 10K in income a month, or they're looking, some of them are looking for 10K minimum a month. So I shared something very specific. I also was very specific about the problems that they're having. I know that it's hard for them to talk about their ambitions with their mothers. I know that that's really hard for them to do. So I talk a lot about, how I had a conversation with my mom around my new ambition and around this person I was becoming. I also share stuff around like, what's the other one that really, really hits home? A lot of stuff around that they're really hustling and burning out, but not in a vague sense. Like my clients for my 6-figure incubator program typically are making money, but they're not making money in the way they want to be. Like their life doesn't look like what they thought it would be like at that amount of money. So they've probably had a big month. Maybe they had a month where they made, 14,000, and then they've had a couple more months at like 5 and 8, but they are working so much that they can't even spend time at the park with their kids anymore. So I get that specific saying like, you've had a big month and now you're making 5 to 8K, but like you can't even go to the park with your kids anymore without looking at your phone. See how specific that was? Very, very specific. Very, very specific to their problems. Okay. So I would even write like a post or do a live video about like, great, you're making 5 to 8K a month now and you are exhausted. What's really going on? Or like you went to the park with your kids today, but couldn't even pay attention to them because your business is consuming you. What's really going on? So specific. So what's one thing, what I would ask you to do is I would ask you to really try to get into the head of the client. Like try and think about, from the time she gets up in the morning to the time she goes, to the time she goes to bed at night, what is really going, like, what does her day look like? What frustrates her? What keeps her awake at night? What would make her so happy? And then speak and then get very specific. Yeah, it's so specific. A majority of my clients who come to my sales page say, your sales page said exactly everything I was struggling with. Exactly everything. So get to know them inside and out. And any content you create from that place of speaking to them. Speak to their frustrations, speak to their desires, speak to things that would make them happy. And let them know that you understand them and that you can help them. So try that out. That would probably be pretty good. Thanks so much, Jess, for joining me. Thanks so much for joining this training, everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And I'd love to answer your questions. I'm also offering currently right now for any of you guys that are watching the replay, I'm also offering currently right now a way to work with me that's really short, super affordable. It's about 8 weeks working with me one-on-one. And what we do is we create your plan for 6 figures in 2019. And we get into your business model, then we get into marketing, and then we get into selling like it's not awkward, and selling like straight through Messenger, which I love to teach all of my clients. So we can totally discuss that. It's 8 weeks. It's 3 payments of $1,997 or just one payment of $5,000. And yeah, guys, if you want to take advantage of it, send me a message. I'd love to talk with you more. And thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a good day. Bye.